Hi everyone, this is Kurt Belier working for CGWhat.com, and in this tutorial we're going to do the little robot that you see in the viewport. Overall, he's pretty easy to do and should be a lot of fun. So the first thing I want to do is, before we do anything with the image planes that we have here, is we need to open up Maya and set up a few things. So we're going to set up a new file, so we're going to go File, Projects, New, and we're just going to call this, say, CGWhatRobot. And then we're just going to go down to where you see Use Defaults, and you hit Accept. So we've made a new folder for all of our work, and now we need to set that folder. So again, we're going to go up to File, Projects, Set this time, and we're going to find CGWhat Robot and hit OK. So basically that means, especially for your new users, is that all your saved work and saved files will go into that folder and into that directory. So we're pretty much ready to go as far as the file. Now what we need to do is just change a few things just before we actually begin, just to make life easier for us. We're going to go to Polygons, up in your menu set. That's usually where I start off. Sometimes I'll switch to Nerves, especially when I'm first starting, but we'll do that in a minute. And then we're going to go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, just make sure we have a few settings there before we begin. Under Settings, under our categories, I want everybody to have working units as inches. So you can see behind our little pop-up here, our little grid or boxes get a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to hit Save. So we are pretty much ready to begin bringing in our image planes, the front and side view of our character that we have in Photoshop. But before we do that, what we need to do is pop back into Photoshop really quick, and I'm just going to minimize this guy just a little bit more here. So that's our front view, and then there's our side. You can see he's kind of like a little snail-like robot. So again, a little bit challenging, but a lot of fun at the same time. So we're going to grab our front view, and we need to get the dimensions so that we have the exact same look in Maya. So we're going to go to Image, Image Size, where it says Document Size. I'm going to change to inches, and I want to remember those two values. So the width is 2.6 and the height is 3.7. So I can go back into Maya really fast, and we're going to go to Create button up in the top left, and we're going to go Nerves Primitives, and we're going to create a plane. So we have this little plane here. You can see it pop up there. We're just going to rotate it down 90 degrees in the X direction to start off with. So that's great. We are ready to attach that little file that we have in Photoshop right onto that geometry. But first we need to open up something called the Hypershape. So we're going to go to Windows, Rendering Editors, Hypershape, and this brings up this little pop-up window. You can see we have a couple up there. Those are our defaults. So we need to create a new Lambert. So I'm going to middle mouse drag our Lambert into our work area here. Just drop it there so you can see it's Lambert 2. We're just going to call this Front Image. And hit Enter. Now we're going to click on it twice using our left mouse button. Now it's going to bring up some more options. So we can actually bring the Hypershape down just a little. And under Common Material Attributes, I want everybody to find Color. And then we're going to go all the way over to the right, find a little checkered box. Select that checkered box, and then you're going to find where it says File under Create Render Node. So it's the fourth one, or the second on the right. You're going to hit File, and it comes up File Attributes. You're going to go Image Name, find that little folder. Once you found that folder, depending on where your images are when you download this tutorial, mine are on my desktop, you just go to that folder. So I'm going to find Robot Front, select, and you can see in our thumbnail, or a little texture sample that it's called here, has our little character right there. So we are ready to go and put that picture into our viewport. So I'm going to middle mouse drag our front image that we made right on top of that. Now if nothing happens, don't panic. Just going to hit 5, and then you're going to hit 6. Now if nothing happens on 6, that means you missed. And you just pop it up on there until your little guy pops on there. So I'm just going to go back into my channel box, and remember those settings that we had? We're going to grab our Scale tool, which is on the left side, right here where all of these little tools are, and we're going to scale it to, what was it, 2.7? Let's just double check really fast. 2.6 and 3.7. So the first one's going to go 2.6, and then in our Z direction it's going to go 3.7. So we have our front image plane the right dimensions, so we need to do that for the second one. Now an easy way to do the second one is you're just going to select it, and you're going to go Edit. You're just going to hit the regular duplicate, which is the first one, and then you're going to rotate it 90 degrees in the Y direction. So we're just setting up for our other image. So we're going to go back into Photoshop really quick. Cancel. We can hide our front view. We're going to grab our side view now. Go image size again. Change it to inches. So this guy's just a tad bit bigger because he's a little wider. So the width is 3.5 and then the height is still pretty much the same, 3.7. So again, back into Maya, grab a new Lambert. I'm going to name this one side image. Enter. Double click, color, box, file, folder, find your side, and then on your side view, it'll almost drag that little guy up there. Alright. Now when you're working with projects that are a little bit different, they're not like a human or something like that, where you have a little bit more, say like on his back there, see how he has kind of like a more of a snail look, you always want to kind of move your image plane so they kind of match up a little bit here. So we're going to make sure that first we're right down the middle. So we're going to grab our front view. We're going to hit 6 so we can see. And we're going to line up our character's face first. So I just kind of eyeball it, make sure that he's right down the middle. This guy's kind of drawn on a little bit of an angle, so that's not too bad. But majority of the projects usually start with the head. So as long as the head is kind of in the right position, we can play around with the body as we go. So now we're going to go to our side view, hit 6 again, and again just kind of move that to kind of right where the top of his helmet or that part of his geometry will be. So now that we have them in the right position, we can move them into the correct order that I usually. So I go over to the right, get to about there, and then I'll push back to the side. Grab them both. I'm going to hit Control G, and what Control G allows me to do is it allows me to scale. So I'm going to grab my scale tool, which I might still have selected, and I'm able to scale them up at the same time so that they get a little bit bigger, because I like working a little bit bigger at first. So that's pretty good. You can even bring it back to just where the grid starts. Right about there, and that guy right about here. So you just check your views again, make sure that they haven't moved. Yeah, his head's right down the middle. And the same on the side view. Yep, right down the side. So that's great. We have successfully made our image planes. So what we're going to do now is going to put them on a layer so that we don't ever have to worry about moving them. I'm going to grab them both. I'm going to go Edit, Delete by Type, History. If you watch your channel box right here, over on the right, it's going to reset all of our values. So we're just going to go Edit, Delete by Type, History first, and then we're going to go Edit, Modify, Freeze Transformations, and that'll reset. So if we do happen to move it without a layer, we know just to hit back down to our defaults. So I'm going to go a little bit lower on the right on my channel box here. I'm going to find this little icon where it says Create New Layer. I'm going to select it once, select both pieces of geometry at the same time, right click and go Add Selected Objects. So I can turn it off and on as I'm modeling when I need it or when I don't, as well as to make it transparent and referenced. You want to keep it on reference so when we're modeling, you don't ever have to worry about hitting anything. So that's pretty much ready to go. So usually at this stage I'll go File, Save Scene. I'll just call it Robot CG What 1. So Robot CG What 1 and hit Save. Alright. So just like most of my models that I do, I like to start off in NURBS because NURBS is really easy and really proficient at getting the basic shape and geometry in there before we do any detail work. And that's what we're going to start off with now. So I'm going to go Create. This time we're going to go NURBS Radius and we're going to create a sphere. So we go into our side view. We're going to be working quite a bit with the side view on this little character here. And I can hide my grid. So just go under Show, Grid. Now the thing with NURBS objects is it has an end sweep or an area that it looks like it's closed, but it actually isn't. And I'm just going over this for the new users that happen to be watching this. If you've seen my tutorials before, I've gone through this. So under end sweep, you can see that the NURBS isn't one solid object. It has that little split there. So you always want to make sure that that little guy is far and away. So I'm always rotating him back or underneath or things like that. So we're going to bring this right up to our character's head area. Now you're probably wondering, okay, you can't see anything. We're just going to go under our shading menu. This is in our viewport, not the very top menus, but just the one just above where our viewport stops. We're going to go hit X-ray, and that allows us to see both things at the same time. So we're going to create our character's little face here, first and foremost. So we're just going to rotate our ball here, because if you look in your front view, I'm going to hide the grid on this as well. And he's got a little eye, so we're going to bring that down. So we make that our focal point, or our center starting area. Now the other thing I want to do as well, and we could have done this a little earlier, is I want to drop our side view down just a little bit so it lines up. We lined up the top part of our character's head, but not the two characters' heads on the image plane. So I'm going to drop this down just so that that sphere is right where the head is. So we know that the front and side view are lined up on our character's face, not the armor part over top of it. So I can just change that back down to reference now. So again, I'm going to change on X-ray on both viewports and grab my character's sphere that's starting to look like his head, and I'm just going to shape it just a little bit here. So I'm going to right click and select Control Vertex. It brings up all of these little pink dots that we can start manipulating. So I'm just going to make his head a little wider here, and then say his chin, pull in just a little bit. This is a lot easier than making a human face or things like that, just because you don't have as much to worry about as far as moving geometry. Move that back down just a little bit as well. So you want something like that. And then we'll go to our side view as well. And you know he's going to kind of have a little bit more of a human-like feature. So we're just going to say move these, just collapse these up a little bit. And you have to use your little bit of creative licensing now, because we can't really see what's happening in there. Usually in a studio environment and that, you get really detailed drawings of the in workings and all that stuff. But for now, this guy, he's just going to be kind of built by us as far as what's going on inside his back part of his head there. So we have that all started. So there's our character's head. So we're going to start off by making the torso area a little bit. So we're going to grab another sphere. So we're going to go create. Again, sphere. Spheres are great for really blocking off stuff. So I'm just going to go to our side. This is going to be this area, just the main torso area. So I'm going to rotate again, back, get rid of that end sweep, and I'm going to make it much bigger now. So we can use it in front view as well. See, I'm just going to bring it right to about where the shoulders end and where that round part of the torso is. I'm actually going to rotate it down so that the beginning of our top part of our circle is kind of where the head will be. Now we're going to use a new operation here as well. We're going to right click and we're going to select this isoparm. We're going to hold shift in case we want to do more than one. But for now I'm just going to do one, but if you want to do more than one, see, I can do like that with shift. I want to bring an isoparm to get those little dotted lines right around that area. Then I'm going to change into my surfaces tab so that I can cut this. So I'm going to go edit NURBS and I go detach surface. What that allows me to do is go in there and click that little guy right off. So I have the opening of where I want my character's head to pop up. So with that selected, I'm going to Control Vertex, and then I'm going to start shaping. Just really basic shape here. Of the top part, see how it kind of folds into each other there? So it's kind of like an egg shape. So I want to kind of do that right now, right off the beginning. And then I'm going to pull this right up. Now be careful, you want to move this up a little bit, then you want to deselect some of these little guys right here. So you want to kind of keep that oval shape that we have happening there. Just make sure that you're moving at the same time on both sides. It won't matter later on, but for the start, you want to kind of have them moving around at the same time. Now we're going to grab these little side guys here. And we're going to pull that down, and then right in the middle, move that upward. Now we're going to move these guys in a little. So again, don't worry too much that it's not matching up exactly. I say this is all about making your life easier later on as far as getting all the proportion in there. So we're going to go to our side view, see how he's way, way out. So we need to bring these little guys back into position. He looks really robust from the front, but he's very skinny on the side. So we're just going to keep moving stuff around. You can start using your rotate tool a little bit as well. Bring that guy right up to about here. And then this guy kind of come out a little bit more. Now for the inner working here, I'm going to select something new called a Hall. So I'm going to right click on my geometry. Instead of going Control Vertex or Isoparm, I'm going to select Hall. And that basically just makes it a little bit easier for me to select a ring of those little paint dots. So I'm going to grab the innermost ring right there, and I'm just going to push that back in there for now. And what that helps us do is, again, start to create a little bit more definition in our character's head area there. So I can bring this guy a little bit closer now. See how we're getting a little bit more of a nicer, clean line. Alright. So we have our character's body started now. It's a little bit jaggedy. You see these little areas there? Remember how I said we can pick isoparms and do a couple at a time? That's what we're going to do now. We're going to right click, select isoparm. We're going to hold down our shift button. I'm going to add a new little guy there, another little guy there, and let's put one in the back for now as well. And then I'm going to go edit NURBS under our surfaces tab. Make sure you change that. And you're going to go attach or insert isoparm. There we go. And what that again allows me to do is just have a little bit more control over how things are starting to be manipulated and pulled. So I can move these guys a little bit forward here. Now if I go to my front view, you can see that this kind of divots in there, and I don't want that. So I'm going to change my X-ray on. I'm going to grab these little guys on the bottom here at the middle. It gets a little confusing sometimes when you're trying to select the right one. And I'm going to push this out, see how that's working. So I can go up one or two more higher. Go a little bit higher as well. You just want to make it round, basically. So I'm just going to pull that out. There we go. So again, it kind of looks like our character has a chest starter there. Now the other thing we're going to do later on is we're going to add more geometry here to really start making that round area that you see there, like his big bold chest there. Alright. So the last thing we do in this section is just block out this little section here as well. And again, you're going to use a sphere. Spheres are great. I've said it earlier, but they really are. They make life really fast. So I'm just going to grab it, rotate it back. And this time I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Right about there. Right click, select those vertex, and we're going to build this little guy in little, say, armor plates from the side view here. So this first plate that he has kind of comes around there. This guy kind of comes up. And we'll do some more integrating those isoparms as well. This area is going to come back just a little. So we're going to move up a little. Alright, so we're going to add some isoparms. Add one there, another little guy right about there. Insert. And I can grab those individual little guys. All the type of modeling that there is out there. I prefer organics. I don't do too many robots in that, but I guess it's good to see how I do them. I just find that organics are a little bit more flowing than the hard surface stuff. So again, we're going to go into our front view. And again, we're just going to kind of eyeball it here, what we need to change, because again, the drawing's a little bit off on to the one side. So that doesn't look too bad. Again, this little area here in the middle, we're going to cut out when we go into polygons a little bit better. So it'll be nice and clean for us, but you get the drift. There we go. And he's going to sit right inside there. So we can go to the back part of our main characters. And there, just like we did for the front, we're just going to grab some of this area here and pull it out. So it looks like something like that. And again, it's going to change quite a bit for us later on. I'm just going to round it off a bit more here. There we go. So let's get this last little bigger piece in here, and we can pretty much do that in one swoop with another sphere. And that'll do it for this section. Now with this end sweep, because I want it to be where his belly is, I'm going to rotate it down, minus 90 this time. And I'm going to rotate it minus 90 in the X. So that's on the very bottom. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger again. Bring that up. I'm going to kind of use this as our guide right there. Right click, pull back, and down. Right click, isoparm it, and again. There we go. Put one about there, another one right about here, and another one at the very front. Insert, select, push down. And I'm going to just scale where the tail will be. Now, push up. Add another isoparm right in this area here. The main thing you will always want to keep in mind when you're working as a modeler is how the geometry is flowing, or topology. You want to make it as friendly as possible when it comes to animation. How things are going to bend, you want to try to mimic as much as you can as real life and how muscles work and things like that. So that's your main goal as a really good modeler, is always make sure that your meshes are going to flow nicely as far as deformation and that for the riggers and the animators. There we go. So we're going to go to our top view this time, and we're going to go back to where his tail is, and we're just going to slowly start scaling our tail area inwards a bit. There we go. Alright. We can go up to the front now. I'm going to kitty corner these guys. A little bit of an angle here. I'm just going to move that back because we want that to kind of just loop around at some point soon to the front there. And down. Bring this forward. Actually, this one down a little bit more now. Alright. So I think that'll do it for this section. In between sections, you guys can just, if you're feeling adventurous, especially if you're new at this type of modeling, just go in there and try to refine some of those shapes a little bit here. Just get as close to the image plane that we have. Again, it's a little tricky one because it's not 100% perfect as far as front and side view lining up or anything like that. So we'll have to kind of experiment a bit with that. Let's see what I'm doing here. Just kind of experimenting here. Just see little areas that need to go in a little bit more and little areas that need to fall back a little bit more. Just like that. Alright. So we're going to save this again. You always want to save. And you can get rid of your grid for the most part now because you don't really need it. So there is the beginning of our little guy. So File, Save As. Let me just save it as one again. Hit Save. Yes, Replace. And that'll do it. So I'll see you guys in the next section. In the next section, we'll just keep continuing blocking out all of these little pieces that we have going here. We'll get our, looks like little tracks blocked out, and I think he has two little feet. And then we'll get into the shoulders and the arms after that. So I'll talk to you guys soon.